Good morning. My name is John Doles.
Right here.
I am the son of James and Anime Doles, who here at this cemetery, the Lake Maude Cemetery. I was born and raised here. I was born in 1950. After high school, I went through, matriculated through school, and after high school, I went to college at FAMU University, and from college, I went to state of Vermont in '72 and was in the Northeast area for some 25 years, and I moved back to Florida in '93. Actually, my mother, she was the original member of the Pallbearers Club. That was the group organization that pretty much maintained and facilitated the cemetery back in the early 50s, actually before that. But the Pallbearers Club was a group of individuals from different communities here in Winter Haven, as well as different churches, that the individuals formulated the club to have monies to buy plots, so when anyone passed away, they would have a plot for burial. And my mother was the secretary of that, treasurer of that group, and I could remember her having the composition books that she kept all the minutes in and all the records and who paid the dues or paid the monies that were required for maintaining current status, as far as once individuals passed away, they would have a place to be buried. For example, my father passed away when I was 4 years old, and that was in 1954. And he was buried here, and at that time my mother had a plot right next to him, and she passed away in 1998. So 44 years after my father passed, she had her plot and was able to be buried here. I have a few cousins that's buried here, and I'm the youngest of 7 with James and Anime, and all of my siblings have passed, but they're buried at different sites here in Winter Haven. But my parents are the ones that are here as far as family members. Well, for one thing, it was back in the day when things were a little bit separate, as far as blacks in one area, whites in another area. This was the place where blacks, once they passed, they had some place to be buried. And it was maintained through the Pallbearers Club, and things were taken care of quite favorably and nicely. However, I don't know if there's anyone living that was the original part of the Pallbearers Club, and thank God for the city of Winter Haven to take on this particular task to keep things for its maintenance and cleaning and all of that. So I really just salute the city of Winter Haven for its efforts and what it's doing, because with me, I have glaucoma, so I'm not able to see, but the last time I was here, for sight-wise, it was that I saw things were really done well because of the city of Winter Haven. I would say at 4 years old when my father was buried here. And then too, as I stated, the Pallbearers Club, with my mother being an active member of the Pallbearers Club, the composition book that they kept all the records and minutes and all of those type of things, which my mother was very detailed, very organized and structured as far as information, dues, who paid dues, how much the dues were paid, and all of that. As a little kid, I was able to, at the home where I was raised, looking at the book from time to time and just being curious when she would maybe be checking things out, going over minutes and whatnot. I would be sitting right next to her and whatever, but that was pretty much when I learned about it. Even though I was 4 years old, I can remember the service at First Missionary Baptist Church, where the service was held for my father's homegoing service, and then coming here to the cemetery where he was buried. Well, as far as what you are doing in public relations, that's it?
Yeah.
What you are doing and keeping information, I would say, alive, as it were, that with you all coming out on a day like this and taking time out from your busy schedules, which I know it is because I've worked for the state, I've worked for county, I've worked for federal government, so I know what it's like for its busyness. And for you all to take interest, that's really a very important key, that you're taking interest in getting information like this about this particular cemetery and passing that on to other generations, because my daughter was not born here in Winter Haven, but she knows about this cemetery, and my grandchildren, they were not born here in Winter Haven, but by what you all are doing, it'll keep that information going, and then prayerfully and hopefully they'll pass that information on to their children. Well, as far as with the cemetery, it birthed out of the different churches here in Winter Haven, different members and whatnot, and my parents, my father was a chairperson of the deacon board there at First Missionary Baptist Church. My mother had involved herself with multiple auxiliaries and groups and organizations, whereas she was citywide mission president. She started what is called the citywide mission, where all the local churches here in Polk County, in Winter Haven, have a service on the third Sunday of each month, where all the churches come together at one location to help keep some of the smaller churches going and finances and support and what have you. And with the Pallbearers Club, that information was conveyed from that manner. Also, she was the home mission chairperson, where she would go to different homes. She and other women would go to different homes for visiting individuals who were sick or had illnesses and pray with them and for them and what have you. And also, she was a president of the Senior Women, which was a group of women that took the teachings of Apostle Paul when he wrote the letter to Timothy about older women, teach the younger women on conduct and all of that. She was really the one that did that, and just because of the fact of all that she's done with the Pallbearers Club in the community, a lot of individuals around Winter Haven know about that, or different generations know, because they passed it on about Mother Doles, which a lot of individuals affectionately call her. And then, like I said, my father was the chairperson of the deacon board there at First Missionary Baptist Church, where a lot of things birthed out of the church, and the Pallbearers Club was one of the birthings out of First Baptist Missionary Church.
I just say that I'm the beneficiary of generational blessings. As he said, my grandfather and grandmother were very vital parts of First Missionary Baptist Church, and I now have the privilege and honor of serving as the youth minister there. And so I think that, again, it's generational blessings. And as I was sharing with him, asking him to share, my grandfather, James Doles, was the first to be baptized in the old sanctuary that we are about to tear down now, but in 1933, the only thing that was there was the baptismal pool, and he and Miss Julia Jacobs, they were in And there's one other member, and I can't think of her name now. That's a sour thing. But she was also. They were both musicians there at the church, and they were the first to be baptized there in the new
That's
church.
incredible.
And so we're just excited about this. And of course, I am privileged also to serve on the cemetery committee. So it's an exciting part for me.
There's such a history here, and there are different ones that are buried here that were businessmen, businesswomen, individuals that pastors that I didn't even know about as far as before my time as here at the cemetery. And this is pretty much where, for the city of Winter Haven, the communities that out there in Florence Villa, Lake Maude, Boggy Bottom, it is the place where blacks were buried. And now we have places all over. All of my siblings are at Rollins Hill Cemetery. However, as I mentioned earlier, for my daughter and grandchildren to be able to come back to Winter Haven and find out where their grandparents are and everything, it would be such a tremendous historical event for them to know about their grandparents and all of that. But it's not lost, because there are some areas around the country where some loved ones, they just don't know where they are as far as when they were buried and everything. So by the city of Winter Haven taking this on, I just really appreciate that.